Right, guys, welcome back. This is Just Above the Average FPL podcast with me, CY, and Baker, FPL 343. How are you this evening, mate?
How are you?
Terrible. Terrible. Terrible.
Oh, mate. You've had a week. You've had a weekend.
In more ways than one, mate. In more ways than one, obviously, yeah. So we delayed the podcast by a day. So I was very fortunate to wake up on Thursday evening with the little one spewing everywhere. Thanks very much. And then that was the youngest. So cleaning sheets, cleaning pajamas, cleaning everything. Thought we'd all cleared it. And then Saturday night, big one. Same again. She's top bunk, so it's like all over. Oh, God. So I've basically had no sleep Thursday night, got a bit of sleep Friday night, then no sleep Saturday night. And so yesterday was just a complete write-off. And then obviously with FPL, with Tottenham, with everything, it's just been, an absolute nightmare. How was your weekend?
Yeah. It was okay. To be fair, I wasn't much better yesterday, but mine was completely self-induced from going out Saturday night. And I've not been on a proper sort of local pub crawl. I've been on a few last big night out was me and you had, a few months ago we met up.
Still suffering, phone smashed.
Didn't agree with me too well yesterday. So I must admit, when you said I weren't too well, I was like, oh yeah, I'm really disappointed, but also like, because I was
didn't fancy it.
I was not in a good place for most of it. Yeah, surprisingly, I was perked up by the by the end of the football, not so much the Tottenham. But yeah, it's a divisive week, isn't it? It's a divisive,
massive one. Massive one for the first time this season. Obviously, there's big conversations at the start with like Bruno Salah, who you captain game week 1, and it was all ended up an complete anti-climax, which could have gone either way. And then this week I looked at the shiny new toy and thought, well, shall I talk you through my week?
Yeah, tell us for your week, mate. Let's get to it. I think for anyone listening, if you haven't cottoned on already, I captain Salah, you captain Havertz.
Yeah, basically.
So that's where we're going.
That's where we're starting off. So yeah, I mean, ordinarily I thought I'd have a decent week. 67 points. I did take an 8-point hit, which is stupid because I mean, all week I was saying I was going to captain Salah, and then Lukaku got himself injured or got injured, and suddenly, I thought, well, near the Chelsea number 9, it makes perfect sense. I'll talk about why that was probably a bad decision. I didn't think it was a bad decision until sort of late last night, early this morning, for more reasons about how Chelsea set up more than anything. But I've Mendy in goal, Rudiger 9 points, cheers. Obviously I've got Salah, but I didn't captain him. Havertz, prick. Antonio, Jimenez, Jesus. So my front line returned, all 3 of them. So that was good. But yeah, 67 points and like the biggest red arrow I think I've ever seen. I went from 107k to 422k. Wow. Absolute monster. Yeah. But
how do you deal with that?
I think I mean, it depends on your attitude towards the game, really. I mean, I think that's really important. I mean, it depends on if it's something that really going to affect you, which it doesn't really affect me, but if it's going to be something that affects you, I'd just advise maybe just taking 24 hours off, just take 48 hours off. If you're on Twitter, then you're probably listening to this, maybe. Well, if you listen to this, you're probably on Twitter, I think is probably the better way around.
Yeah, probably.
Then, just switch off Twitter for 48 hours. Nothing's going to change. There's games in midweek. Nothing's going to change until after that's happened. So just take some time away and get away from it and do other stuff. For me, we started talking earlier, and I was like, well, let's just air it out. Let's talk it through and try and understand not so much what went wrong, but what can we do from here, and just try and get in my head that it's just 1 week and fine. It's put a massive dent into what I wanted to do this season. Hasn't really changed the way I wanted to play as much, I don't think. I mean, it feels like it could push you one of two ways. You could. I was exactly the same at this point last season, wasn't I? With the triple captain on Son, which didn't return, and then I just went quite cavalier, and I don't want to go cavalier, right? I don't want to go full Booner. I think it's I don't want to go full Booner. But I was speaking to a few guys on Spaces last night, and I don't want to go that way either. I don't want to go full EO because it just feels really, really boring. And I
think I've known you for a long time, you know, and not just FPL played. We've done, you know, we know each other from a Spurs background. We were into gaming as well, and I know how you play games, and then you play FPL very similar in that way. And there's a style of which you want to be, and I think it's just really important to be authentic and true to that because you will not enjoy the game otherwise. So, if you didn't back Havertz for captain, like I'd have felt that was weird. You know, I talk to you regularly, talk to late riser regularly, and those are type of players where you're like, that suits them. And there's reasons why I like talking to people like you too, is because it doesn't suit me. So therefore you give me really good challenge that helps me go, oh, I can learn from that and understand it and factor that into my decision making. But I didn't at any point try and talk either of you two out of that decision because I was like, that feels the right decision. And it did, like you say, you could sort of almost see it last night when you start thinking about it and you think, actually, the number 9 for Chelsea doesn't tend to do that well. And is he just a feeder for everybody else? But at the time, you were like, right, well, one of the arguments for Salah over Lukaku is that he gets extra points, you know, the clean sheet, the extra points for the goal and all those type of things. And you're like, oh, Havertz gets them. So if you were contemplating Lukaku, then surely, you know, you said to me, surely you would go on Havertz, and I'd be like, yeah.
That was the rationale. Was like, I mean, I'm surprised it wasn't more in some respects because that's the logic, right? You take the number 9 striker who is out of form, right, for Chelsea, and you captain him, right? That's what people were going to do, and yet all of a sudden, when the number 9 changed, who was still out of form, everyone went to Salah. So the rationale completely changed. It's not like United got any worse because they were always crap. It's not like Salah got any better because he was always amazing. Nothing really changed. That was actually the problem. Is nothing changed. Chelsea still attacked the same way they have done for the past 5-6 weeks. And where have all the points gone at Chelsea in the last 5-6 weeks? Fine, Mount. I mean, I don't think anyone would have called that. But if you went to Reece James, if you went to Azpilicueta, yes, he didn't play, but let's just thinking about that type of player. But if you went, I don't think anyone was going to go to Alonso
any of the
now.
Wing-backs.
But if you went to the wing backs, these are the guys that are going to be involved in all the points, and they had the low floor. So actually, to be fair, I think having Rudiger probably blocked me there a little bit because had I had I said to this to you last night about, you know, opportunities to get lucky. Or opportunities for someone like a Livramento to come from the bench, because I basically cock-blocked fucking Livramento on the bench by having someone like Mendy in goal, which meant and having Rudiger and having Diaz. I've got all these safe players. Cancelo was a maybe, but you know, I've got all these players that were going to play. Actually, when Jimenez wasn't going to play, I was actually kind of happy about that. I was thinking, you know what, I'll take my 6 points from Livramento. I'll be well happy with that. Bit pissed that you ended up getting 9. So I mean, I mean, everything seemed to go wrong because I went for that shiny new toy. I took an 8-point hit. I got Jesus in as well as part of the deal, and I mean, he returned, so I wasn't too displeased with that. That's fine. But had I not taken the 8-point hit, and I had commented on I think it was FPL Mate asked some content creators. Yeah, he said, "What are you going to do? What's your transfer, and who are you going to captain?" I went Saka to Bumo, captain Salah. That was me 4 days before the deadline. That was me the whole time. On the day before the deadline, I sent a tweet out saying I'm pretty much locked. Salah's a captain. If I'm going to go complete madman, I might go Kai. I woke up, went complete madman, and it was actually on the Spaces. On Spaces, did I do the space? I can't remember. Did I set up? Or was I?
don't
No,
know.
I jumped onto a Spaces with you. You were there, and
Yeah.
you said, I'm blaming you now.
Here we
yeah,
go.
here we go. So you said if you take a hit for Kai and then you captain Salah, you're almost guaranteed a red arrow. They were your exact words.
Yeah.
Completely wrong.
Yeah, completely wrong.
Hindsight, obviously, but yeah. So it just didn't.
You've made the gamble, haven't you? That's the point. Is once you've made the gamble, you've got yourself in. It's that almost that sunk cost fallacy of I've made the gamble, I'm in it, I'm doing it, I'm going to be one of those, I'm going it. And lots of very good managers did that this week. So don't think that makes you a bad, like for anyone, don't think it makes them a bad manager. There was perfectly good logic for it.
Oh yeah, captain the Chelsea number 9, and then you look at you even go hindsight and you go, well, they won 7-0 for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
And he wasn't even close to being involved. I mean, he was just an absolute passenger.
We'll get to the games. So,
how did you get on? You tell me. Just forget me. Get on to you. How'd you get on?
Yeah, I mean, I had Aspi, so he didn't play. So I missed out on all those lovely Chelsea points. So I got Livramento off the bench. Thanks very much.
Just sworn at him for anyone on the podcast. I've just sworn at him.
Yeah. Then, I mean, the afternoon just felt like it was going bad. When that Jimenez and Wang sort of combination happened, I was like, oh my God. At that point, I checked my live rank and I was like 350% down. I thought, God, I actually thought like that can't be any worse, but we've clearly seen it can be a lot worse for a lot of people. Then Foden turns it round, and I thought I was going to massively. I didn't check my rank to see what it would have been because I had double seat defence. So I didn't check it because I was out drinking. But woke up and was like, I'm okay here. I'm going to get through it. Just Brentford don't go mad because I've got no Brentford, and then Vardy went off, and I thought just get through it, and it was okay. But didn't expect, as much as I was all for championing Salah all week on it, and as much as I did think that if they scored an early goal, it could go riot. 24 points is probably a bit much to stretch to say that I thought that was going to be the kind of thing. And you certainly wouldn't have called it to be 21 points more than Havertz. I think that's the thing is if it was a 15 points from Salah and 10 points from Havertz, you'd have gone, okay, I had a go against the ownership. I went for it, didn't pay off, fine. Yeah. But obviously it wasn't. It was a lot more than that. So it's just a story of the week. It's a weird one. I ended up with 102 points. And it absolutely does not feel like a 100-point week. But
well, I mean, that's it. I mean, like Foden and Salah captain outscored my entire team.
What does it mean for Salah then? Come on, I know you really want to talk about how much you love the idea of perma captain Salah.
I fucking hate it. I just hate it. I just hate the idea of a game where effectively you're just picking Salah twice, and then for me, then captaincy feels irrelevant. It's like a complete waste of time. You might as well just take it out of the game. And I was saying this on Spaces last night. Well, it means that you can do more around. Fine, you've got one less thing to think about. Blah blah blah. But you might as well just take. Essentially, you're saying I've got 2 Salahs. So you take Salah out. You take captaincy out of the game, and it's basically like saying, what do? Do you not go with Salah, or do you go with Salah? Like who in their right mind? If there was no if captaincy didn't exist, right? Mm-hmm. Who in their right mind would not have Salah in their team and want to be half decent at this game? No. Then what's the point? What is the point in not captaining Salah every single week?
Well, the game changes. It's sort of said to you earlier, the game changes. Ronaldo comes in, I captain him. I then captain him again because I think it's Ronaldo. He's having 7 shots a game. Suddenly it was an option. Lukaku had this great fixture, and so we were like, yeah. And literally 10 days ago, we were all captaining him in like 3 of the next 4 games, and obviously that's not happening now. Game can change again, And I just think to myself I just haven't got it in me to think about the next 10 games and where it's going to be. I just think, am I set up for this week? Is it all right? And I've got Salah in my team, like you've got Salah in your team, and we've all got Salah in our team. So it's like he's always there. But
if he's always there now, and you don't captain him, what's the point? I mean, like it's just exactly that. You're essentially if he faces anybody in the bottom half of the table, right, he's going to be
anybody.
Or anybody. If he faces anybody, he's going to, from now on, he will be 190% owned. Like, so what's the point? Like, my point earlier, and you said we've said we're going to talk about it, which is why we're here. I just don't think there's enough opportunities now to go against Salah and to gain anything. I think even if you pick the right points, if you miss one, you've completely negated all the hard work.
And that's the pain for anyone that's taking it. You're absolutely right now, is everyone, and that's another reason why it will just cement it in, is anybody who's taken that pain is like, oh. But people react two ways, don't they? They it's the fight or flight type things of how am I going to work with this game? And there'll be people that take him on again this week, despite him being home to Brighton. There will be people. Not many, like 10%. Of people, maybe.
Well, there you go, exactly.
Might do it. But it's still some people, and you just have to, you just got to manage it at this point. You can't win all 38 games. You can't win them all. Is we're only a quarter of the way through this game. We're not even a quarter. The game can change in a few weeks. Like, you don't have to win them all.
I know, but I still think if you lose two more of those battles against Salah, and he goes off, your season's done. I mean, like, you might as well be hacked. You might as well be hacked and have 180 points deducted from your total.
Right now, yeah. So don't do it now. Like, take it, enjoy it. Because we talked earlier about the points that he's on compared to everybody else.
Yeah, let's go there. So, Salah is on 107 points after 9 games.
7 points. Yeah.
16 returns, 16 bonus. Which 10 are goals, only 1 penalty.
16 bonus. Got 21 bonus all season last year. 16 bonus, 9 games. Got from averaging half a bonus point a game to 2 bonus points a game. It's just... It's not the same player. Like, it's the best player in the game the last 4 years is suddenly a completely different player that's even more animal. Like, players do not get 100 points in 9 weeks. That doesn't happen.
I mean, Son wasn't far off last year, I don't think, but there was exceptions. He scored, but he scored 4 goals in 1 game, didn't he?
Yeah.
Does that help?
I think that they were both 84 when Kane and Son were both. Yeah. So those two going mad, and anybody back there. If you think about it, Kane and Son were almost like the perma captain because they were about 200% owned when you added up all the captaincies.
Yeah.
And we did all right. We managed through that time. We did okay.
Well, okay.
In the end, we worked out all right. Like, we took some pain. Like, we're Spurs fans, and we didn't have Kane and Son, and we took a load of pain on that.
Yeah.
And we came through it, and we did all right. And we just had to wait our time a little bit and go, breathe. It's not going to carry on forever. It's not. It's going to just.
The difference
if it does, we'd have stayed with it.
Well, yeah, but the difference. Yeah, we would have done. But that's the difference is. I mean, Liverpool are by far the best attack and the best team overall. So they actually spend more time at that end of the pitch. The latter half of last season, Spurs went through, manager change and all this nonsense. That fine when Spurs did score, that it was one of the two really. That was it. But they regressed because of circumstances around them within the club more than anything. I would say, as a Tottenham fan, I think that was part of what was going on. You obviously had, Kane was obviously distracted by what was potentially going to happen in the summer. Salah's in this machine that is just absolutely firing like anything at the moment, and he's just absolutely relentless. Kane and Son were scoring high points off not monster volumes.
A crap team.
In a crap team. Yeah, exactly. But Salah is a monster in a monster team. And that,
this is a monster team.
Just worries me from a state of the game point of view in terms of, just captain Captain Salah and be done with it.
You know, in 9 games, Liverpool's FPL points is 609 points, and Man United's FPL points is 362. Like, that's just.
And bear in
mad.
mind, Bruno got 20 points week 1. Pogba got 17 points week 1.
Ronaldo right, so comes in, 13 points.
Yeah, 10% of their points were scored in the first game week by 2 players.
This is, you know, truly special. You know, 9 games, their XG is 25. So they're basically due to score 3 goals a game. And you think of like La Liga, you know, and how this would be, and think of like Salah's Messi and he's playing the league. You can kind of almost understand it. Then you go, well, if they've played Man United, they've played City, they've played
Chelsea,
Brentford away, who are no, you know, mugs. You know, they were away to Leeds. They've played Chelsea. It's not like they've played a load of terrible teams. They're just relentless. You know, the last since game week 4, 3 goals, 3 goals, 3 goals, 2 goals, 5 goals, 5 goals. It's just a phenomenal team. That ball from Henderson, like,
oh, ridiculous,
just ridiculous. But they
it's
all
like prime Iniesta, unbelievable.
They look like they've got so much in them in terms of their enthusiasm, their dominance, the way they toyed with them, the 10 men. Like they didn't. You know, it was the best for non-Salah captainers. The best thing that happened in that game was the red card, because they then just took the piss.
Yeah.
Just
in fact, I was when I saw that Pogba got sent off, I was basically, I was ready to delete. If Trent, as I said, if Trent had scored that one that went in the top corner, I think I'd have deleted my team.
What a shot as well. Do you want me to tell you how much of a nerd I am during that game?
Please.
When everyone else was watching it, seeing what would happen, hoping for these, what I was looking at was that Trent was 1 behind Jota on the bonus and had a pass completion of 78.4%. And I knew that if he got over 80, he would get an extra 2 bonus. And I literally was refreshing SofaScore for pass accuracy. And honestly, he just kept tappy. And I was like, yes. Then he gave a crap one away to Ronaldo. And I was like, oh, what are you doing? And then he just tappy, just got there. I was like, get in, Trent, for tappies. Lovely. But yeah, because that was actually all that there was in the game after that. They were instructions. So hang in there. Like it can change, but why at the moment Liverpool are just so good that embrace it, you know, is go with it. I think that
embrace it is essentially writing it off as a non-event, and it's one of those that if it feels like if you feel like they're going to score, well, if you feel like there's going to be points outside of Salah, that's where you might get your advantage. So I guess that's your Jota, your Mane, your Trent. That's where you're going to get your advantage from. Yeah, not having Trent doesn't help me either, in truth.
Yeah, that one's bad. But then there's a lot of good options at the back.
Yeah,
there's no one, and you've got to get there. You know you've got to get back to Trent. Everyone knows they've got to get back to Trent, and if you've got the funds to do it, and you can take them out at some point, just do it. You know, because you kind of have got to get there. But
what did he get this week, Trent? What did he get? 10 points.
10. Yeah.
What's that? Assist, clean sheet. No, didn't
and
get
1 bonus. Clean sheet, assist, 1 bonus.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what you got. But
so it could have been 4 points left if it could have been 4 points less if Ronaldo had kept his toe on side.
Well, and wouldn't have got the bonus.
And wouldn't have got the bonus. That's what I'm saying. So 4 points would have been taken.
And it was a VAR decision as assist. It was a VAR decision as assist. So couldn't. But you just know what he is. You know, that's the thing is that he's everything. He's not quite everything I'd say that probably Chilwell is if Chilwell starts. But that's the difference. He starts. That's the difference. And therefore you just go, I'm never taking him out the rest of the season. It's like Salah and him. Once you've made those transfers, you don't have to make them again, hopefully, unless there's an injury. So you just do it and then think about the rest later. Or AFCON. So then we might have to make those transfers. You know, we'll have to.
We'll see.
But yeah, it's just a different world. 107 points, and the second best is 57. And you go back through any year, it's nowhere near that.
So just doing that quickly, I mean, if you look in that last year, so it was Kane and Son at 84 points, but close behind, Calvert-Lewin 70, Salah 67, Bruno 64. You know, they're bunched up. They're relatively bunched up. We all know Kane and Son, and everyone was saying Kane and Son were an anomaly last year. To a certain extent, they were, and that's better than anyone in the last 4 seasons. So before that, KDB 66, Aguero 61, Mane 59, Aubameyang 57, fucking Tammy Abraham 56, and then Salah 55. So again, bunched up.
Yeah.
Season before, Hazard 75, fair enough. Alonso 61, Aguero 58, Robertson 57. I mean, that 60-point mark is kind of where
Standard.
the norm is. So if you're above that, then then you're getting into some ridiculous territory. 100 points
a game is a big number.
Yeah,
it's a big number. Anyone's averaging 7 points a game. We haven't had that consistency for that, and we've got Vardy's on 57 as a second place. We are starting to get some though. I feel like if they carry on, so like Chilwell is averaging over 11 points a game now. We've got Foden 8.5 points a game in the 4 games he started. We've got James over 8 points a game in the 4 games he started. You know, these players are coming. Mount is averaging nearly 8 points a game in the 5 games he started. You know, we get swings. These things do happen. There are lots of players coming in. They're just not going to be captained over Salah. So it's like, how can we try and maximise that and get every little inch out of the rest of it and try and catch those biggies? Because that Foden one was just such a big deal for me, as was the Chilwell for a lot of other people, the James for a lot of people. You know, those are just the Mount for those that had him.
Yeah, you could. I mean, if you had all those players, I mean, you could have got away with. You could have had a good week even without captaining Salah. It was possible. You had to make a lot of good decisions all at the same time.
And get lucky.
And get a bit lucky, possibly some Livramento points off the bench, that kind of thing. Yeah. But at the same time, I think Chilwell would have been a decent bet. Foden would have been a decent bet. I think even Reece James to some extent. Or if you went Aspi, for example, and you got Livramento, then you're talking, what, Chilwell got what this week? 13? So 13, something like that. So
15.
15. I think it was 13. But so you take 13, 9, 22, so you got 40 points from those 3 players. So actually, even if you captain Salah, if you don't captain Salah, that's 64. And your captain is probably going to come from Chilwell, let's say, if you're making that kind of decision. So you've got 70 odd points before you start thinking about, you've probably got a Man City defender. Well, actually, that was only a couple of points. So it was possible to get around the 80, 90 mark, I think, without captaining Salah, but you had to make a lot of good decisions and almost all be on a wild card, which, you know, is...
You can't be on it every week, can you?
No, exactly. You can't.
And that will bring variance. Don't forget that as well, you know, and give you opportunities to strike, is that
but fucking variance.
This is where I do get excited about, and this is where I try and reignite your passion with the world of even if you have to always captain Salah. Now, a lot of people now have used their wild card. We're now over 90% of the top million have used their wild card now. So there's not a lot left. This is good news because it means that we're now into the decision where your decision matters against somebody else. And they are going to just captain Salah, as will probably you and everybody else. And now it's about your squad management. Now it's about the decisions made. Now it's about working with what you can do with your funds every week, making an intelligent transfer. Maybe you can take more risks with your transfers because we've got some good bench options out there, and because it's not captain, so you can go, well, actually, where could I get that brace from this week that's going to make that differential for me? Is there's some opportunities, I think, in some players at the moment that you could really attack the fixtures. Norwich are providing a game every week for somebody.
Just wish it wasn't Leeds this week.
Yeah. It's just unfortunate that. But you know, that's what we've got to try and do, is try and work out a different way and adapt and play with it and stay in the game and make good gains. You know, you see it like everyone sees it is this week a 21 points. Yeah, that's what it cost you.
Well,
Salad habits.
Yeah, on face value, yes.
Well, let's just talk about it just in general. 24 points on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it? On Sunday afternoon at 24 points. So you know how much you dropped by losing 24 points. Yeah. And it wasn't, you know, when you take the effective into it, it's probably about 21 effective points you lost in that second half by not captaining him. If you can get somebody that gets that double digit, the 15 pointers, the Smith Rowe 13 pointer this week, the Chilwell, you know, if you can get that Maxwell Cornet 15 pointer this week that other people aren't going to get, you can make a lot of that back up over this week and next week without having to not captain Salah, not do those things. And it's just, we just have to think cleverly as managers and think, how do I work this out in our brain to go, yeah, I'm going to be okay. And the other issue, though, we all face is that we see loads of people get loads of points and go, I want their points. So it's like, easy one, I've got Asp and I go, oh, Chilwell, James, they look more fun. And it's like, I can't do it because I've got other things to look at and other things to work with and go, okay, what I'm going to do is plan to get to there on that, plan to get to a good point where I can do a sidestep. But realistically, that's a tough sidestep. See a lot of people looking at like Diaz to Chilwell and stuff. You're like, home to Palace, like,
yeah.
You wouldn't be saying that if Ederson hadn't just decided to, you know, get involved in the game because he was bored.
Yeah.
It's difficult, and that's what we've got to try and. So we've got to try and find some things to keep ourselves in the game for the next few weeks while everyone's captaining.
So, shall we start talking through the games in a minute then?
Best do then, don't we?
So
before we
do that, so guys, make sure you follow us on Twitter. Our handles are above us. If you're watching on YouTube, the pod account is at above average FPL. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcasts from. People keep asking for Google. I'll chuck it on the website. Been a bit distracted this week, so I haven't been able to do that, but I'll chuck it on the website. Make sure you leave a review. It really helps us. You know, we're getting a lot more people listening now, which is great. Thank you very much for joining us. But please leave a review. It really does help us. Yeah, let us know what we're doing right. Let us know what we're doing wrong. Chat to us on Twitter. All that sort of good stuff. We get involved in Twitter Spaces. Most of them involve Rubber Ducky. Most of them involve Ray. There's plenty of people.
It's always better with them.
It's always better. There's always better. Some great spaces out there as well. So get involved. I mean, ordinarily I would have done one today, which would have been Monday, but haven't been in the office because of the kids' illness and stuff. So I haven't travelled. So yeah, we try and do something just to keep ourselves engaged with the community as well. Yeah, and obviously any questions, you know, before we're recording a podcast, let us know. We will try and go through them if we can. Well, no, we'll go through them. We will. So, do you want to go questions or do you want to go games?
Let's try and, we've done a few, I think, through the things around, you know, what do we do, bad game week, where we're at. I think let's try and pick them out as we go through them. Otherwise we'll be all night. So, yeah, we've got a few. We've got like questions on rotation and stuff, and maybe we'll talk about that when we get to the old Liveramento world. But
yeah, we'll do that. We'll get to talk about it when we get to that team. I think it's probably a good one.
Yeah.
Deal.
Arsenal, Villa. I take it you didn't really care for this as a non-Arsenal, apart from the fact of I remember seeing your message of lovely when
Jacob Ramsey scored.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of switched off when I'd taken Saka out at the end of last week. To see he was starting was a bit frustrating, but you know, it didn't do anything. So for me, that was good.
He was involved, and Aubameyang's high. I think the thing with Saka is that he looks like he's mainly playing on that right hand side now, which then just means Pepe him. What happens? Does he get to the limited minutes? You can't forget he's young. Smith Rowe. You know, a week ago you'd have said Saka over Smith Rowe all day long, and now you're like, oh, I can save $1 million, and and Smith Rowe gets, what he gets.
I thought it was interesting that they started with Lacazette as well. I don't know
In a
whether that
slightly
helped.
slightly behind as well.
Yeah, I don't know whether that helped Smith Rowe a little bit, because he was previously he was sort of more advanced as part of a 3 up top, but he kind of moved back into the midfield, which didn't he play there against us, funnily enough?
Yeah,
or was that when Odegaard was in there as well? But
he's primarily more that left-hand side, but then actually what he is good at, he's a clever player, and therefore he gets the late run into the box. He knows how to take space. It almost feels like he's better there than trying to be, further forward with it. So, I mean, you can't say it's not a bad option. It's a lot of points that he's got, and I think he'll continue to outperform his value. But I don't know. I'm not quite taken with the fixtures, and I think actually, they've just had 2 home games, and it starts to look a bit more like, do I really want them as much? Got Liverpool coming up. Yeah, I don't think any of us have got any problem with money, so I just don't think I'd necessarily go there. But because people haven't got a problem with money, people might look at Aubameyang. It's
no other forwards are really doing very much, are they? So
nah,
there's definitely an option there.
Yeah. The thing with them on the clean sheets, like I've got Ramsdale, and he was good. He's good. His distribution's good. He looks good for a lot of it. But they just they defend in spaces, Arsenal. So they just basically say, I'm going to get this wall of people and this people behind the ball, and we'll just be in a good position. And they're very rarely caught out, and that's the good thing about their positional side of it. But they don't ever really take responsibility. Like, nobody closed Jacob Ramsey down for that. So he hits a blinder, but he was there to just say, tee me up and I'll whack this. And that always worries me, that they're just going to be set up for good finishes.
I mean, one thing that I did watch a little bit of the game, in truth, actually, just thinking back now, and one thing we always thought was that Tierney was going to be the main focal point of that backline attacking. Tomiyasu was getting forward a lot.
A lot more than I expected.
Particularly in the first, I say particularly in the first half. I watched the first half, so yeah, in the first half, and a couple of shots as well. So, what is he, 4.5?
Yeah, there's so many fun defenders out there that why would you have a dull Arsenal defender who's getting literally go back to me said it the other week.
If you focus on, if most of your money and most of your points in the midfield are tied up in Salah, then you can actually have more fun around the midfield. And it seems like Mount and Foden are becoming options, so you actually don't need loads of money in there especially if you're gonna. It means you can go big at the back as well. If you want to incorporate like a 4-3-3, you don't need a premium striker right now, it seems.
Yeah.
Etc. So there's. I just think. Yeah, you probably don't need to worry about it. No,
just don't do it.
It's Livramento, White, Duffy, and then whatever you want. One or two out of those 3, and then.
I mean, it's one now, isn't it? Really, if that. And if you have White or Duffy, you're going to be putting them on the bench behind Livramento any game of the week now.
Yes.
Any game.
Fixture run's good as well for Southampton.
Villa, we talked about it. They just need to dump Tuanzebe. They just need to dump it. Just either go to Courtney Halls or just dump it. You were saying to Craig
on the space last Friday,
just dump it. He's not very good. I know it's all like but no, like no surprise. They pull him off. I don't know what minute did he come off. Come at half time. It wasn't even half. I didn't even notice he'd gone at half time. But 46 minutes for Leon Bailey. It's always going to happen because they're really good together, Konsa and Mings. Just play Konsa and Mings together.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense for me.
Fair enough. Saturday.
Chelsea,
man.
Well, let's what I would say on Norwich. So the one thing I thought on Norwich is that they let that happen. Like, at no point did they get close. Did they try and what I didn't predict. So I sort of thought that Salah would go, is get the early goal and then be with it. What I did not think was that Norwich would play almost as open as they did. Like, they played like a 5 and then 3, then 2. But
they just bent over. They just bent over.
Like, they didn't try and. I thought, they'll shut up shop and they'll just try and. They didn't really. They just went through the motions, and just let good players do stuff. And the other thing I do think is unfortunate, don't know what the team lineup would be, but obviously Kante didn't make the game. As soon as you've then got Jorginho and Kovacic in that midfield, suddenly they release so much better passes for the wide men. Whereas if Kante had the ball, he'd have run with it, pushed it up, and then Havertz probably would have been higher up. So, those were all things that you just didn't know until the day, which meant that actually Havertz, what's happening is Havertz plays the decoy, comes short all the time. The range of passing from Kovacic and Jorginho would just play through. And they literally, as you said, they just bent over and they were just magnificent. I mean, James and Chilwell in particular, the thing with Chilwell, I would say, is when he took that touch, no one thought anything other than that's a goal.
No, true. No.
Didn't even consider he was going to miss it. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. As soon as he got it, you were like, he's got it. And it was beautiful. I didn't
expect the finish to be as good, but I didn't think James was going to miss either. Really,
no.
That ball was just perfect.
Absolutely beautiful. I hate it before you even get into Mount. I know we should talk about Mount because he got a hat trick, but I just feel because there's the late stat pad of goals. A bit like when Bruno last season against Southampton, when actually he wasn't really the main man in that game, and then gets all the late points. I feel like a little bit Mount was that.
He got greedy at the end. I mean, he got greedy a la Foden did as well, but it's just that he got
and they played
the
to
penalty.
Him. Lost his cheek was, did very well for him. And I would say, I mean, I wouldn't go there now because I want the wing backs, but I've been very, very critical of Rudiger. He's getting more involved.
He's just roaming. That's what's.
He's getting more involved. I said to you on WhatsApp
earlier. He's just roaming. He's starting to carry the ball through midfield now and trying to get up him. I mean, look, we can put all the superlatives that we want onto Chelsea, and then we have to caveat it again and say it's Norwich, because in previous weeks they haven't. They are a good team. They are a very good team. They weren't tested defensively at all, not even like City were. But
good point.
We can get to that. I mean, yeah. Norwich are a bad team. They're like the worst team we've ever seen. I don't know how.
And we're Tottenham fans.
I suppose if you take Buendia and Skip out of that, you really just basically rip the heart out of it, and they go from championship winners to relegation fodder. I mean, do you think they'll even win a game this season?
No. Caliber keeps playing. It keeps playing. Like. He's averaging 8 points a game, basically. He keeps playing. I said to you earlier, he's got almost, I think there's only 3 strikers in the game that got more points than Chalobah.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous stat.
It's absolutely mad. It's that. Strikers, Southampton and Burnley, and Rozier gets another goal.
How did you get to that? I'm looking at the FPL, and it's like Palace, Newcastle. I was
looking on SofaScore. Crystal Palace, Newcastle. Well, we can talk about a different forward. Benteke's.
No, because I'm definitely caveating this with Newcastle.
Oh, yeah, but they've got Chelsea next week, so that.
I mean, seriously. I mean, you saw that Tottenham scored 3 goals. I mean, we talk about Tottenham later to some extent. Tottenham scored 3 goals against Newcastle. We didn't even create a shot on target in the second half against West Ham. I think that speaks volumes.
Perhaps you should captain the Chelsea number 9 then against Newcastle. I couldn't let it go.
It's too soon, man. It's too soon.
You know it's going to happen, don't you, though?
I'm tempted. I'm not.
No, the problem is...
I'm more tempted to captain Rudiger.
Yeah, it's fair. But seriously, so Benteke had a goal disallowed, so that doesn't count, obviously, on any of his stats, let alone his actual points.
I'm glad you clarified that.
5 big chances outside of that in a game. Like, that's a lot. I know.
That's why he's down in. That's why he's out the bonus. Clearly,
it's a lot. Ronaldo's had 6 big chances all season. Vardy's had 6 big chances all season. Tony's had 2 big chances all season. like we're all going Tony, you know, but Benteke's,
Yeah, we're all going Tony. Do you know what? Do you know why we're all going Tony?
he's pretty good. And he's got Norwich soon.
Yeah.
But
And
Benteke,
and they've got Newcastle soon as well.
and we've got loads of money because we can't spend it because all our forwards keep getting injured. I'm keeping an eye on it because we've talked about over the last few weeks, like Elise played, Edouard, who wasn't. I was a bit weird. I thought that was almost like going to be top, but he was actually quite wide.
He dropped wide, yeah.
Yeah, and then you've got Gallagher, and then you've got Eze coming back. You've got Zaha into it. Ayew can play wide. You know, you're like, maybe they are going to feed Benteke. Maybe they are going to feed Benteke. I mean, it's probably a better punt than a Pookie right now.
Yeah, we all bend that idea off for you.
If you offered me someone like him over like a Mope or Pookie or someone else like that, I'm not.
You're not setting the bar very high with those.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't go to them either. So let's just.
Would you have him over Hwang?
Yes, every day.
Okay, fair enough.
Every day, I would have
There's
him
a
over
comparison.
Right now.
Okay. So Newcastle, I wouldn't talk about Newcastle until they actually start making some signings.
We're just going to not talk about them till January.
Yeah, literally, just ignore them.
Callum Wilson's a good player, though, isn't he? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great finish. He's a great player. I mean, if he hadn't got the booking, he probably walks away with top bonus again. Yeah, I do think. So I think it'd be interesting to see how Chelsea do shape up against Newcastle because I feel like, you know, St. Maximin and Wilson, all they've got is the ability to attack actually because they can't defend. So maybe, you know, if I was Aspi, it's like, oh, what do? Do you play him right centre back and come back in, or do you go the extra man and play him at right wing back? I think Aspi will come back in because of that.
Yeah.
Difficult though, isn't it? When they've just won 7-0, like how do you not just play the same team?
Yeah, I think that if you're Chelsea, I think to some extent you want a plan, but to some extent you feel like Newcastle have really got a plan for Chelsea more than anything.
Yeah.
Surely it's got to be that way around. I mean, you don't turn up and play Newcastle every week and think, I wonder how we can stop them.
And that is basically what I can't remember what his name is. The angry coach man for Newcastle shouts a lot.
Graham Jones.
That's the man. He basically said, "We're just going to try and sort it out at the back. We're just going to try and beat defend." And you're like, "Oh well, great. Could be another 7-0 that way because they haven't got a good enough players to be good at the back. They just haven't. So yeah, that's a problem. Nothing much else to take from it really. Who cares about Palace and Newcastle?
Everton, Watford.
That was fun. I didn't watch it live, but I listened to it on the radio. I was going out, so I was driving to where I was going, and I got in the car just as Richarlison scored, and I was like, oh, 2-1. And I had Townsend, who I'd lovely brought in for these two magnificent games that he had at home, which they've lost both of. And it was such a stupid thing, though. When they brought Richarlison on, they brought him on for the young lad Gordon, and the whole crowd just was fuming, absolutely fuming. You know, he's a young talent of their own. They love him, played brilliantly. Took him off to put Richarlison on. I mean, admittedly, you can almost imagine Benitez's smug face as Richarlison then scores and says, I know better than you.
Yeah.
And that is a bit like the thing with Benitez, though. He's just a stubborn man. And then they should have closed the game out. No, you know, it goes completely the other way. And King enjoyed it. You know, the first goal, he didn't really celebrate it. He was like trying to be respectful. The next goal, he's got his shirt off.
I mean,
I was like, come on, lads.
We low-key mentioned him about 3 or 4 weeks ago, Josh King, and how he enabled Dennis to be good, and enabled Cucho to have chances as well, and he's taken them for himself. It's interesting we're now talking about Josh King and Callum Wilson.
Yeah, they took Salah off as well, and when that happened, I thought, well, that's interesting. You know, you're losing a game and you take Salah off. But scored more goals when he came off, so he could easily fall out of favour.
Yeah.
Oh, you got him as well?
Oh, yeah, I've got him as well.
Yeah, so last week we said he was a number 9 at Salah, and this week he comes off, and they score a lot of goals when he come off. And João Pedro came on, who was, probably their best forward last season. So, I mean, Everton, I don't want a part of them. I need to move Townsend off for I was going to do it for Bumo this week, but I'm not going to do that now unless we get absolute confirmation that he's okay. But nah, that bubble has burst.
Yep.
We're on to now Leeds Wolves.
Yeah, Leeds Wolves. I had no idea what happened in this game at all, apart from I picked up a little assist again.
That's because you were just trying to catch up on some sleep and just had like a 3-hour nap Saturday afternoon.
I did that. That's exactly. In fact, that's it. That's exactly why I didn't know what had happened. Because actually, I went to sleep at 2:30, and woke up at 5:30. So actually, I'd have no. That's why I didn't watch any of the games, because I was asleep. No, I remember.
3 o'clock's very much passed you by.
Yeah.
I remember the first message you went, Watford scored 5. I was like, yeah, they did. And it was amazing. The highlight for that game really is the last 20 minutes. Is Gelhardt, the young lad from Leeds. Martin Keown on Match of the Day called him Messi. Is compared him to.
Well, that's it. I tried to watch Match of the Day Saturday night, and then the kids again.
You're struggling, mate. You're struggling. But he was honestly just come on. Absolutely took the game by the scruff of the neck. He's a 4.5 forward. He's got Norwich next up. I'd chuck it. I'd be amazed if he don't chuck him in. I could almost see him. He'll play him again. He'll play him from the start in the. If they've got Carabao this week, I don't even know if they've got Carabao this week or not.
I can check for you while you're talking, because I don't know what the hell's going on. They've got Arsenal tomorrow.
I'd start him
or
to
Arsenal,
see what happens.
Arsenal tonight or Tuesday night. Arsenal Tuesday night. Yeah.
He honestly was really special, and he talked special as well. In a real, almost innocent way of just they've had all these kids that have come on off the bench, haven't they, recently? And you were not really sure any of those. Yeah, it's interesting. Rodrigo takes a penalty at the end. Klitsch was off the pitch, so I expected Klitsch to take the penalties with Bamford out, but Klitsch was off the pitch at the time. He got off subbed, and you never know, might be the one that makes way if Gelhardt's coming into the team. But yeah, if you're trying to target Norwich, Rodrigo is probably not the worst one-week punt.
Well, he's definitely going to play.
He does so much for the team. He works really, really hard, but it's just you always wonder, has he got any goals in him? That's the thing. Rafinha is obviously the worry. We just have to see what happened. It was an impact, so impact's better in it than pulling up. So
yeah, definitely better. We'll see. He's not going to be involved tomorrow, is he? So I guess we just have to wait and see if we can get honest Bielsa on Friday.
We will, won't we? That's the good news.
We always do.
We always do.
And it is a Saturday deadline, so that's good.
But just remember, obviously, we've potentially got the situation that he might be out this week, and if he is, then you've got also got internationals coming up again, same load of pain. I wouldn't be against moving him out this week if he's gone. There's plenty of options.
Agreed.
So, yeah.
So
that's them.
Southampton, Burnley. We said it.
Well,
yeah.
I got to say at the start, I thought Cancelo, I had, Diaz, Aspi, Foden. And if anyone, I thought Foden was going to be the person I was going to miss out. And I thought, I'll get Livramento on. There's no way all 4 of them play, Triple City. You just feel like you're never going to get all Triple City play. So to have them all play, I was like, oh. But luckily, I'd obviously had the Aspi earlier on in the game. And in fact, once Aspi didn't play, I was like, oh, I'll get the Livramento points. But then I was like, oh, still got Triple City to go. So this is probably going to turn out badly, because my only other player was going to be Armstrong for a 1-pointer, or Norman, the Norwich guy, for 1 point. So, and then he should have scored, or almost scored, just before he scored. Really good finish. Comes back off the post. He could have easily had a couple of assists. and he scored. So what more do you want from a guy? Very hard to bench him now. So you have that thing now where what we're trying to do is we're quite happy to take rotation risks because we think of players like Livramento, Duffy we've been thinking of, despite the fact he didn't get in. So that means, but we're quite happy thinking, we're struggling with our bench most weeks. So, but then you're like, do I want to take that chance? Or do I want to try and bring Livramento in? And then what do I do? But I still look at it and think it almost pushes me to play 5 at the back because you'd want to start Chilwell, you'd want to start James, you want to start Cancelo, you want to start Trent. I mean, it's very hard to say that if you had a back 5 of James, Chilwell, Trent, Cancelo, Livramento, you wouldn't want to play all 5 every week. I'd struggle to find how you wouldn't want to play those 5 all week.
Particularly in the short term with Southampton's fixtures as well.
So I don't necessarily think I want to take someone out of defence to play Livramento. But then I'm like, well, I've already got Aspi, Trent, Diaz, Cancelo. Where does it go? Where do you go? And maybe it is that you take the Diaz out and go for a more rotation risk, more upside version.
Yeah.
Because if you have... We talked last week, didn't we, about some people saying like Chilwell and Alonso and stuff like that and don't like it. But then you're like, is they're both averaging like 7-8 points when they play. Like, if you added up all of their returns, in every game this week, it's probably averaged about 9 points. Maybe you do have both of them and play that. It's a tough call.
Yeah. But
I don't think we'd be talking about it if Ederson hadn't, like I say, taken him down and DS chips him with another 6-7 pointer. You'd have said fine. Yeah. Livermento's going to be a tough bench for any of us. Brozier scores again. Maxwell Cornet. Didn't think I'd be talking about him.
Well, we mentioned him when he scored his first goal, didn't we? Because he did that nice little bicycle kick, and then he scored a decent goal this week as well.
It's more the position for him is he reminded me a lot of Defoe, like in the way his movement was, and he was a proper number 9, similar to Bumo, in that sense. But then you're like, well, they've got Chris Wood as well, obviously, but he was really, like last season, quite often you had Chris Wood with Vidra, and it was like he'd be wide man. It was almost like Chris Wood was accommodating him, I felt at times, or he was the one that was dropping deep to try and win the ball on for Cornet. Cornet just looked like the one that was always going to score, and it's not often that you've felt that Burnley have got a player that wants to score. Like, I find it quite hard to process in a way of thinking that you've got an attacking player that you were like, I like him. I like him a lot. We talked about Benteke or something like that, and you're like, would I go 3-5 or 4-5-1 even, and have someone like Cornet who's a striker, effectively playing in midfield?
Yeah,
I don't hate it. And there's some all right fixtures. I mean, you've got Chelsea. Was it week after next?
Yeah,
Chelsea?
Week after next. So it's Brentford, Chelsea, Palace, Tottenham. 3 of those 4 are at home. The Chelsea game is away. Wolves, Newcastle, West Ham, Watford, Villa. Yeah, it's not bad at all.
It's not bad, but you do have to remember he's also from the Ivory Coast, and then like 1920, whatever that looks like, he's going to clear off the African nations. So it's like you do have to ask yourself of how much do you want to bank a transfer for someone like Maxwell Cornet?
How many Africans are you going to put in your team? And how many transfer? Because you're going to have to make moves.
Yeah,
that's definitely you have to consider.
You're definitely going to, as you get closer.
If you've just got Salah, you're probably okay. But if
if I was bringing Cornet in this week, I wouldn't have no issue with it. But then I'm like, because I'm not going to do it this week, and I'm not going to do it next week. Then I'm going to
get that step closer.
It's getting that step closer, and then you're like, I'm only technically bringing him in to bank a transfer to take him out, and then he's like, just need to see it a little bit more. So he's worth a watch. But he was an exciting player, really exciting. And like I say, I feel like almost maybe I'm more excited about him because it was a Burnley, attacking player that you felt like, had something in him. City, Brighton, they're just really good, City, aren't they?
They're really good. They're really good.
Imagine a team where you can just bench De Bruyne and play Gundogan.
Yeah. Well, I still think that means that it has to mean that KDB's still lacking fitness. Surely. There's no other sensible way. Or, well, I say or. Is it a fixture? We thought last week maybe we were wrong. Potter would put his best team out against Brighton. Maybe we were wrong. Maybe he thought this is a game where I can give KDB give him another 7 days. I'm going to give him a run in the Carabao and gets 45 minutes in the Carabao, and then he's ready for next week against Palace. Make sure he's at full pelt for United, because they'll want to batter United.
They want to batter United, and it's good to know that we would have got 10 out of 11 on picking this team. We said last week, they'll respect Potter. We'll put a full strength team out, and we'd have said KDB over Gundogan. We'd have got that team bang on. Cancelo, Laporte, Diaz, Walker, Bernardo on the right of the three centre midfielders, Rodri as the holder, Gundogan, Grealish, Foden, Jesus. That's it at the moment.
Yeah,
it's good. It's good. We know it. As long as we know it, then we're like, oh, okay. So therefore, KDB comes in for one of those. Mahrez will be your first off the bench type player. Okay, we know where we're at, and can plan around it. Foden, they're not good goals. The 2 goals he scores he's a little bit lucky with the first goal, and he's but just listen to the way that Pep talks about him and says, he says things like 2 types of people, players that I'm absolutely butchering this, but go and search out the Pep comment. But it's like some people just know ball, and he knows ball, and he's on it, and therefore he's gonna. We talked a few weeks ago about, is he going to give him the platform to hit the ceiling? He might do.
He looked hungry to get that 3rd goal as well. He got very greedy, didn't he?
Yeah, good.
Which is, for FPL, that's perfect.
Absolutely perfect.
Opportunities to pass, and it was at the point where I think everyone understood as well. He was taking shots on, and his teammates were just like, "Okay, fine." Whereas I think maybe Kane, Son, Mana, got Sane in the mind there, Mo and Mane. That you might have seen some frustration there, but they were just quite happy to let him shoot, and
everyone loves him.
Yeah,
Phil. You just got, it just is a beautiful thing. So that is a thing. With you got to look at it and say, he could do that any week because they are that good a team.
And that's my issue. Well,
Jesus could have returned easy and has done very well in returning. So he's not, they're not huge
big feet
priorities. Yeah. You got done off a ridiculous dunk clearance, and I just not sure it was going in. His shot that went in off Foden. Not sure it was quite going in.
Oh, that's bullshit. Definitely was going in. Absolutely. So if you want to be on the right side of variance, right? Talking about the right side of variance. Here's your Kai Blank. Let me just kick you while you're down and get your differential Man City striker. Comes off Phil Foden's fat backside. Jesus Christ.
We shouldn't underestimate, though, going to Brighton and scoring 4.
Massive.
Is a good team.
Yeah.
It's a really good team. You can go back a long way, and it's probably just City that do that things to them. They're a very, very, very good team. Putting 4 at Brighton. If it was 4-0, winning 4-0 at Brighton for me is as impressive as 7-0 against Norwich.
No, that's fair.
What's not impressive? West Ham Tottenham.
One of the worst games I've ever watched, and it was just so dull. The whole game was dull. West Ham were compact. They were organised. They played well. Tottenham were compact and organised and played well. We controlled more of the ball. But that was about it. And all of the... We had two decent, really good chances in the first half. And they're chances that you'd expect Son and Kane to put away.
Yeah.
The pass through from Kane to Son, I tell you what, compared to what happened in the entire game, it was an absolute delight to see that ball, which was one of the best through balls of the weekend, I think, probably. And then Son fluffs his lines, and then Kane's header at the back post, frustrating. But we said Antonio likes to score against Tottenham. I don't know. I'd love to know what Kane was doing or thinking or what he could see, because he just didn't move. He just didn't react.
It's not quite right, is it?
Didn't feel right, no. And Antonio reacted quicker. He got there, great. I mean, other than that, there's not really much to talk about. I mean, and we're talking about this fixture thing that's coming through for Tottenham. Like we didn't have a shot in the second half.
People will watch that. People will watch what West Ham did. So that first half, we did cut them open quite a few times, and had good chances, 2 very good chances, and had the ability to stretch them and put it in. Second half, they came out and they put a bank of 4 and then a bank of 5. And it's a real bank of 4, bank of 5. And they said, Tottenham, you're not playing with any width. You've got no width at all. It sounds like you've got some width because you've got Son and Mora, but they both play very, very narrow. And then the fullbacks never committed. Not at any point did they commit. And not only that, when they get there, they haven't really got a lot, Reguilon or Emerson. They've got nothing redeeming, particularly in a way of they're not good crossers, they're not good dribblers, they're okay. They're like a 6, 7 out of 10 at virtually everything, but not no signature moves. If anything, you go, that's what I get from them. And therefore, they just went, we'll sit narrow, and you're going to have to try and do something about this. And we just had loads of ball and could do absolutely nothing with it. And so there's 2 things for FPL that tells me. One is that West Ham, who've been leaky, suddenly have learnt the ability to defend again in a 4.
3 in a row, isn't it? For them, 3 in a week for them in all comps.
Yeah. So suddenly, they look like they're getting to grips with this 4 at the back, not the 5. And they've got plenty of defenders that can come in. Diop and Dawson scored in midweek in Europe as well. Be interested on Kufau, because I thought Johnson played pretty well.
Yeah, he was good.
And I would be concerned when they've kept, cleans and Johnson's played there.
Again, they've got fixtures, right? They've got fixtures to play this season that they didn't have last season. They'll want to do well in as many fronts as possible. And you're right. I mean, that just gives them... They've got the depth. They've got a bit of depth at the back now that can allow them to rotate things around.
Zuma.
Yeah. I mean, not quite the same as Tottenham, rotate your entire 11 so you're fresh for the weekend, but,
Oh, they were so fresh and at it.
So slow.
So slow. Son and Kane. If it wasn't the fact that we all had loads of money, no one would be considering it. But the fact that we're like, what do we do with our striker money? People are still looking at it going, maybe I will go there, maybe I will do it. The fixtures do get better and do get better.
The only thing that's going to push people towards it, I think, is enough people will make a move and then people will start to fear the ownership. And that's the thing. People will just fear the ownership. Because in those fixtures, a proper Tottenham, captainable against Leeds, captainable against Burnley, potentially, definitely captainable against Norwich. So...
I mean, no one's captaining because we're all captaining.
We're all captaining Salah, but yeah.
But because of that, I think people as well are so much more likely to go to Son rather than Kane, because they're now I looked at it last week and thought, which one would I go with? And I was like, I'd probably go with Kane because I'm worried that I don't have enough captain options. Whereas now I'm not worried about my captain options, so I'm like, I'll go with Son, thanks, because he's got more ways in to score, and I'll keep that £2 million in the bank. So. Suddenly Son becomes just a much better asset, I think, for the state of the game that we're in. I I have concerns, although you challenged me on this earlier, and you're probably right on this, but something about the body language just didn't feel right to me. I just kept thinking to myself, like, do they really want each other to score anymore, Son and Kane? Like, so when Kane obviously was looking at going, Son signs a new contract, and I can't help but feel Son felt like, this is it now. I'm the big man. And then Kane comes back in, and it's like, from the old, we want to set each other up. It's like Kane's cross. Twice he had it out wide, and Son was in the middle, and he didn't hit it anywhere near hard enough. That Fabianski was on it. He was positioning very, very well, Fabianski. But it's like, I just back him to put those balls into the right area, and he didn't. And I was like, is this that you're just not quite on it, Kane? Or is it that this relationship maybe is a little more sour than it was? And maybe I'm looking at something, or maybe they just don't enjoy playing for Nuno. That could also be all of it.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's so difficult because we see more of Tottenham obviously than we do other clubs and stuff. It just takes me back to you talk about morale and all that. I just go back to the 2 free kicks that Son took in training. Like, the man is constantly happy. He jumped around for joy, and then he did a freaking knee slide after his second one. Like, yeah. And you could just hear in his voice, he just always sounds happy. I don't want to buy the fact that they're not happy playing with each other. Maybe it is just with each other. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean,
Son's
a happy
guy. There's no issue with buying Son, is there? Because he still had very good chances to haul in that game.
Yeah.
Still had very good chances to haul in that game, and you'd back him to do it. He does have these runs where it suddenly does go off. So
I just don't like Tottenham. Not even talking about
hit for Tottenham as
not
well.
Not even talking about FPL.
Yeah, just in general. Yeah, if you were taking, say, Vardy out, if it turns out he's injured or something like that, is you're like, I don't really want to hit Son in or hit Kane in or any of that stuff, and it's like, it's probably just other places to go. But I think a lot of us will go to Son over the next few weeks. Just gotta keep an eye on it.
Salah, Son, Foden, Mount.
Yes, those £7 million midfielders again coming back in. Jota's still available because we want the options.
We all binned them off last week, didn't we? We were all Bumo, Townsend, Decore.
Yeah.
This game.
Game changes. That's what I said. It changes.
Yeah, it changes, but Salah's still going to be captain.
Yeah, well,
yeah. So, Brentford, Leicester?
Well, midfielders, Tillman's again.
Oh, Tillman's. I'm a sucker for Tillman's.
Like the Spurs bit comes out in this. Have you seen the goal, the Tillman's goal?
Oh, my word.
No backlift.
Just...
What? Who do you think of from the player when I say no backlift?
Defoe.
Oh, Huddleston for me all day long in the Spurs.
Oh, no, it's the
ping.
It's the Defoe goal against Arsenal in the 5-4 loss. In the lunchtime kickoff in must have been 2005, 2006. That's a good memory.
I love it when it just comes off like no backlift, just a beauty.
I loved it so much. I watched a 2.5-minute clip on YouTube earlier from Twitter of Tielemans banging for the last 5 years. Just absolute bangers. Unbelievable. And I'm a sucker for him. I've had him in before. He's been in my team before.
I think it was game week 9 you put him in last.
It was.
And you took him out in what week?
Probably game week 10.
I think 11. I think it was then. Was it Grealish? You were Grealish and Tillman's, I think, wasn't it? In and out.
I don't.
Yeah.
Didn't you play 58 minutes or something? That was probably the problem.
Something like that. And then Vardy apparently picks a knock up in the warm up, and then still played him, and then takes him off at half time. Just have to wait and see, haven't we?
Yeah.
Just wait and see. We've got time.
I'm not sure on Leicester's fixtures right now. They're just kind of in and out, in and out, in and out. Arsenal next week. I don't think they're going to get loads of chances there. Leeds is obviously a good one. Chelsea, then no. Watford, who knows? But on paper, obviously at home a good fixture. Then Southampton, everyone's got Livramento. So
Nacho, his positions, he's very deep and very wide. on the right hand side, but like not even high on the right hand side. But he was very, very withdrawn. I don't like that. As a, you look at it and think, oh, maybe I can go there, but it looks like Daka's gonna, if he comes on, is going to be the further man forward. So it looks like what that almost says to me is workhorse Nacho, and then if they're not winning, he'll come off for Daka. So not quite there on that one. Bumo's hamstring issue. The thing is, you don't worry about this weekend. There's good options this week. There's lots of good fixtures. You'll be okay. It's next week.
Yeah.
As long as he's back for Norwich, and it says minor. So the worst case is probably you're missing him this week. I would not worry about that.
You say Tony, that, I mean, it's still Burnley, right? Burnley are still conceding. As much as we talked Cornet up, I mean, they're still conceding goals, and it is a bit frustrating if he's not going to be involved.
Oh, you'd play him if you had him. Yeah. You'd play him if you had him.
You want him back next week. Norwich, Newcastle next 2. Yeah, you want him back. I've got him.
Tony, Tony further forward like that a lot. Is in a much better areas that you'd like to see him in. That's it really. I don't think any of us are going to go to Tillman's. I don't think any of us are going to go to Madison despite this goal scoring. We're definitely not going near Leicester defenders. No. Soyuncu was appalling.
Yeah, we say that. You say that. You've said that like 4 times already this season.
Yeah,
it's no different.
It's just a meathead. He's like, well,
Leicester love him, don't they?
They love it.
Maguire.
Talking of one rubbish meathead, let's move on to Man United.
I don't really want to talk about this game, to be honest. It killed me. It absolutely killed me. No Salah, no Trent. It's 58 points. You say it was 24 points. It was actually 34 because I didn't own Trent. Effectively, 30 points. Just nailed me. But let's just talk about the game.
The thing is though that Man United do allow it. Like I don't know what I'm going to say, but McTominay is not a defensive midfielder. Like everyone thinks he is, but he's not. Check his heat maps every game. He spends so much more time in the opponent box. He's a genuine box to box good midfielder. He was the best player for Man United yesterday. Now, if he was a defensive midfielder, he wouldn't be the best player whilst losing in a 5-0 game. Like, no. They need to use him properly. But you can't have...
Even Fred spent more of his time in Liverpool's half.
That just doesn't make any sense.
In fact, Bruno spent more time in his own half than Fred and McTominay, and Bruno's focused heat map is on the centre spot. So
it's more ridiculous than that. Cristiano Ronaldo's heat map is more of a defensive midfielder than Scott McTominay and Fred's. It's genuinely he like you've got Fred and McTominay just clearing off and doing what they like, and Bruno and Ronaldo come back to the ball all the time. Both of them do it. And if you think about last season, what was really good for them was how quickly they transitioned and how quickly they got into channels and how quickly Bruno would then make the run onto it and come back with it. He'd spread it, get long, go again, move forward. And that's how they dominate teams, by getting up, and then once they're up there, they're comfortable. Once they're into the final third of somebody else's team, they're fine, but they don't get there. That's why at the moment, because it's so slow, because people keep coming backwards, that the fullbacks have just become absolutely useless. And before you know it, teams are just pulling them apart. And it's all wrong. And the Ronaldo signing is just so stupid as a thing to have done, And the Sancho signing is stupid. The whole thing is just bad. Like, why would you not have bought Declan Rice like Sancho? Why would you not have bought Calvin Phillips?
He was excellent at the weekend, actually.
Why would
he was on everything, Declan Rice.
It's just so stupid. The way that Souček has the ability to actually go, do you know what, I'll hang back and actually think about how good Souček is going forward, and he doesn't do that. Scott McTominay can do that. This is the bit with Scott McTominay. He sometimes plays for Scotland at centre-back. Doesn't run off then. He works hard for the team. They only see him every few months, and he works hard in the position he's given. Stick him in a United shirt. He wants to go and score every week. Like, it's just get him out. Well, don't get him out, because it makes our life as Tottenham fans easier, because, you know, it distracts of how bad we are. Have Nuno. Get Nuno.
Take him.
Take him. We don't want him. So, yeah, you can have him instead.
Liverpool?
At least he'll play 2 defensive midfielders, you know.
Well, yeah, he will. That's true.
Yeah, we've got to try and unlock this door, haven't we, of how we get more Liverpool players in the forward areas.
It was not one. I was quite surprised. I mean, I was surprised that Mane was rested. I really was. In a game like this, it just felt like it felt like it was I don't know. It doesn't feel like a game you rest him in. It really doesn't. It was an odd one.
I mean, the disrespect away to United, stuff that, you know, is, well, that's the thing. We all assumed Firmino would play, so then he does. And then, so everyone assumes Jota's not going to play, so everyone takes Jota out for Havertz.
Yeah.
It's not a bad decision. We all assumed it. That's why Klopp's a really good manager. Because, you know, he doesn't really want to just give him the team sheet and put out exactly what it is. You know, he looks at it and goes, oh, they're not going to have a plan for that. And do you know what the funny thing is? He plays Jota on the left wing. Jota hasn't played left wing all season. Guess where Jota played?
Left wing.
Played left wing. Mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it just, everything when you see it just makes Ollie look so stupid. And actually, you know, we can talk a little bit for Nuno a little bit in that sense in Spurs, where you've got players just not being functional. This Liverpool team is so dynamic yet so functional at the same time. They just get each other. They must. They're the sort of ones where I'd happily go watch training for them.
I've just looked at the number of passes Jordan Henderson made. Have you seen?
Mate, you got to look at the end of the game. Honestly, I was counting them, but if you watch back the last 10 minutes,
128 passes.
And don't think for 1 minute that Henderson and Trent do not know that. They literally just tippy tappy. Like, they know exactly what they're doing on the Opta. These guys look at this stuff because we're talking about it today.
Yeah, true.
They know it. Like, he was like, give me the ball, and they literally were like, tick, 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 tick. Yes. Knocked off another 10 passes, and I'm just sitting there refreshing the old pass completion rates.
Counting on people like you.
Yeah, they do. Konate was good, I thought, as well.
You can't. I mean, it's very difficult to say a bad word about anyone, really.
No, it's very difficult when you go to.
They went there, and they just went, "Fuck it, we're going to smash them," basically. And I literally have run out of words now to describe Salah. He never should have scored that hat-trick goal. He took a terrible touch. If you watch it, his second touch is horrible, but within a split second, he's clipped it past De Gea. He's
so sharp,
so quick,
and he's actually so unorthodox in his finishes. It's almost, you know, but Messi's that way, isn't it? Well, that's one of the reasons why people think that, like, Ronaldo is the better player than Messi, is because Ronaldo's so orthodox almost in how he does what he does and strikes the ball. Whereas those unorthodox finishers that get that touch when the other person thinks, oh, he's lost that, so they move, and then it's like, actually, and we've all done that. Like, we've been at school and played someone, and you used to be like, oh, he always gets lucky, that lad. Like, the good ones, like, but this is like just different levels, and it's ridiculous. I remember seeing something on Messi once where they said that, like, he sometimes deliberately lets the ball run to try and get that, to create it. You actually wouldn't put any of that past Salah at the moment, like, of almost like deliberately having a bad touch to try and pull people around, because he's just so on it. But he just backs himself.
You say that. I've never heard that, and just the mindset to think, if I take a bad touch, or if I deliberately take a bad touch, I can entice somebody in, but I know that I'm going to get there in front of him anyway, and I'll have sold him. Normally it's like I'm going to try and trick someone by doing something without touching the ball. Normally that's how you would do it.
Yeah, on certain places. So there's this thing I read on Messi, a podcast. I find it, but it's basically that they did like they measure up like things on the brain, like literally like and can measure the activity of the brain, and basically his brain works quicker than it should. So whilst everyone's doing stuff, everyone's taking this many touch or having this many thoughts per millisecond, he's having more. So therefore is that's how the things move so quickly, and how he goes is because he's just naturally better, than everybody else. And they literally can train it and pass it the ability to make decisions quicker and do stuff. It's good coaches do good stuff, but Salah is just on that kind of level now, where it's like even a bad touch, you think he's just going to get there.
Yeah.
And the number of things he does, the first time passes, the touches, the shots, the Watford goal, the City goal, all of those goals.
I'm switching off now. 24 points. I'm done.
We just can't take it on. We just need to enjoy it. Because actually, we just need to
enjoy it.
Well, it is enjoyable, isn't it? Like, I don't particularly like Liverpool as a team.
I was going to say, this is from a guy, you just need to enjoy it from a guy who didn't pick players from Liverpool 5 years ago.
For whatever. On Salah's debut season, where he got those, 30-odd goals, I didn't pick him because I hate Liverpool. Yeah. This is not the time. This is the greatest attacking team we've ever seen in 9 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's playing on a different level, so just go with it. Like you say, if you really want to take it on, it's find someone with him. So maybe we can do Firmino, maybe because we've got the money to, maybe we can just leave some money in Jota and hope for the best. The big issue with Liverpool ones is they all get off. They all go on the pitch. So you don't get someone off the bench for them. Whereas City, you always feel like, well, if he doesn't play, maybe I'll just won't see him at all.
I'll get Livramento.
Maybe we can take a chance on KDB at the moment, because when he plays, he does well.
Well, yeah.
He's averaging over 7 points when he plays. And that's the week it was.
It was.
Not much happened.
Oh, what a week. What a week. So, I think just to reiterate what I said at the start, for anyone who was on the Kai side, just take 24 hours away. And then look just to come back. Don't make rash decisions. I mean, the temperament thing was the thing that killed me last year, and I say killed me. Yeah, I finished about 470k in the end, and that was a bit disappointing. I could have been a lot better than that if I'd have just calmed down. Depends what you want to get out of it, I suppose. But yeah,
we have to learn though, right? Don't forget, where was you on Tuesday? What was your thoughts again? Just repeat what you were going to do on Tuesday. You were going to captain Salah.
Yeah, no hit Salah.
So we were put under pressure, and there's things that we thought about like after the game that then you were like, why didn't or that. There was some hindsight things that we thought about, but at the time no one did. It's such an unusual circumstance that it happens midweek, and then it's a Friday deadline. You were like, you're in it, in a really short space of time. Everything about it seemed like a good idea. All of us, anyone who didn't do it, thought about doing it. So if everybody in the game thought about doing it, it wasn't a bad decision.
I also think that I also can't believe that anybody sat there watching Chelsea score 2 goals in the first couple of minutes, first 10 minutes, and think, oh shit.
When that first goal went in from Mount, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Because they were doing okay. And look, anybody who's captain Salah was counting the minutes. And then there was that little moment where BT told you that Havertz was about to go off.
I switched off.
And there was still about a minute before the ball went out of play. And there was a little bit, and I was like, just get the ball out, just get the ball out, just get the ball out. But yeah, it's
let's get on to questions, because we've been going for
What
about
we've got left.
an hour and 20 minutes or something like that. So we've got, well, we didn't really cover any of the questions because they're actually quite specific. But Garth asks, for those of us that went Kai as a move this week to Mason 2 sideways and asking for trouble when Kai bags a Hattie at the weekend. I mean, obviously, if Kai bags a Hattie at the weekend, then you can say it was a bad move. I think the long-term pick, I think Mason, if you want to make that long-term decision now, then go for it. I mean, I'm not going to rush to do it. I want to roll my transfer this week if I can. So that's a personal thing. I just don't want to take a hit after what happened last week and try and basically chase. So unless I see a specific opportunity where I can make, or where I need to make one transfer, I'm not going to. You know, we're going to have to see what happens in midweek. Havertz plays 70 minutes midweek, scores 2 goals. You know, he's going to get a bit of confidence back in him, potentially. Obviously, a plum fixture.
The one thing on Havertz that I did notice, there was a bit when he was through right-hand channel, and he was a bit wasteful, and then it was a bad pot shot. Like, it was never happening. Defender was well covered, and he just basically whacked it against the defender, went off for a corner. Tuchel went nuts on the sidelines. He went absolutely nuts. And I did think at that moment, I thought, ooh, he's not happy with this performance. Because it wasn't, you know, he could have brought it back in play, you know, and come inside. It was very, very hopeful. But I remember at the time, I was thinking, whoa, that's a sign. And look, Tuchel is a very animated guy, so I think he's like that against most things. I don't think he's particularly given, but there's no way I would take Havertz out this week. I'd look for a way of doing both that I would look at.
Yeah. I mean, again, although I was saying earlier that perhaps the avenue to points in Chelsea is not with the number 9.
Yeah.
And that would almost, in fact, if they continue to play in that way, I don't think you'll see Lukaku in my team for the rest of the season. Just don't think it's worth it at all. Even if he scores, just don't feel it'd be worth it.
I'm with you on that. I wouldn't completely rule out that there's not that curveball again, though, and we get to something like Thursday and suddenly it's like, oh, Lukaku's back in training. Genuinely wouldn't rule that stuff out as well. We just got wait and see, but I would not be moving off Havertz, I don't think, this week, albeit you might change your mind by the weekend.
Yeah, fair enough. So we're asked, what's this guy? Moneymace29. He says Jota, hold or sell for Foden in particular. I mean,
I would find a way to. I would find a way for both.
To get Foden. What, both?
Yeah, I'd find a way. I'd find a way for it. I wouldn't be selling Jota, and now I don't think we can. You know, but suddenly you see the fact that he plays on the left side and he does it in a good way, not just I'm just going to go out there. He actually plays it disciplined, plays it for the team, does well. You're like, hold on,
yeah.
You know, this is a player that suddenly isn't just in competition with Firmino. I just don't think you can sell someone, not after all we've just talked about how good they are attacking.
And then what about Armstrong? I'm guessing he means Adam. And then does Livramento deserve to always start now? I mean, Armstrong, Brozier's obviously come in and, you know, Hasenhüttl was very complimentary of the fact that he came in and scored on his first game. Obviously gave him the chance. Second game he scored. I mean, I can't see him dropping him. He just wouldn't. Wouldn't. So, you know, Armstrong is either going to come alongside him and compliment him, or he's going to do what he did this week and basically get a couple of minutes. I would bin Armstrong. I think there's... I mean, Brozier being a better option to start with. Hwang is returning, nailed start.
If you've got the money, just get to Tony and do it.
Or get to Tony, yeah. And Livramento, I mean, especially with the fixtures coming up. I mean, I would look to start him. I was gonna start him this week. So yeah, I think he's definitely worthy of a start. And how to cry if you didn't captain Salah. Yeah, it's...
Yeah, I think the thing is on Livramento and all of it, though, is don't forget is that you're just always likely to get someone off your bench, is if you want to attack it. So just keep using him as a reason to keep attacking. Don't use him as a reason to solidify. So if you're bringing in very nailed players that are solid, and then you're looking at it and you're going, well, actually, I could take someone that's a real high risk. So use him as a reason to get Chilwell in, use him as a reason to get James in, use him as a reason to have Cancelo if you've not already got him.
Yeah. Yep. Just basically do exactly the opposite of my defence right now, which is 2 nailed, which means Livramento stays on my bench. Yeah.
Yeah. Diaz and Rudiger is actually 2 nailed now. If you've got Trent as well. If you had Trent, Diaz, Rudiger, you're like nailed, and there's not many nailed players in any attacking position nowadays. But they are as close as can be. I'm looking at Aspi and saying, "Oh, I wish I'd got someone less nailed." Despite the fact that he obviously just didn't just play, but yeah.
Next one. So quick fire. This one. No, do it quickly. Name one player in defence, midfield, and up front that you think is a must-have. This is John, ex-casual FPL.
It's at the moment it's Trent, Salah, and Antonio, isn't it? Still at the moment, Antonio's your only consistent that everyone's got. I've already got him, and what else have I got?
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I mean,
you wouldn't want Antonio in though, would you? Like, if you said to me, "Who's the one striker you need to bring in this week?" You're like, Benteke.
It's a small pool, isn't it? So,
it's a small pool.
Flower Pot Man asks, in a week where mental health has definitely took its toll on the Twitter community, how do you guys chill? If you didn't play fantasy football, what would be your me time thing? I personally like to walk the dog for a few hours or go carp fishing. Cool. I'll probably spend more time on a barbecue, to be honest. Could always be more time spent on the barbecue and golf. Well, it's October now. It's late October, so like my golf clubs are well and truly hung up for the winter. But yes.
I think the other thing is though, mate, is let's talk about this conversation this evening. We're pretty calm. How would this pod have gone if we'd done it like 5 hours ago?
I'd have been ranting.
We need this. So
talk about
that. That is the thing. We do need to talk about
get
it.
Get onto a Twitter space. Listen to people, and if you get the opportunity to talk about it, talk about what's happened in your week, because ultimately, a ton of us captain Havertz, a ton of us captain Vardy, a ton of us captain Salah, obviously more, but we've all. There is somebody else that's had the game week you've had.
Honestly, for every prick like FPL mate who wants to go in and tell everyone why they were wrong to not captain Salah this week, there's a million really good guys like on spaces permanently. There's nice, good people out there that are all in the same boat. The majority of this community are good people. So chatting with people, finding people that you get on with is really useful, and that's the reason why we do this, is that we'll have that chat. So talking about it is a good thing.
Yeah. We've done the how to deal with a bad game week. We did that right at the start. So and the guy said, I need it because I don't have Chelsea players and I've made rash transfers and brought in Mount and Chilwell. Could have done a lot worse than that. If you've made rash transfers, you could have done a lot worse than those two. I think you're doing all right with that one. And then Craig just says, how many supposed rotation risk players do you think is manageable in your squad? I think it's probably...
Get them all.
Well, that's the thing. I think you can utilise... If you're going to utilise your bench in that way, and I think, as we know now, there's enough players at those cheap price points that can allow you to do it. I think you can do at least 2. I say at least 2. I think 3 is probably too many. I think you're probably really just dancing with the devil at that point, because, well, you are essentially dancing with the devil at that point, because if one player doesn't play at all, and then the bench player doesn't play, and we've still got COVID around and all this sort of stuff, I think I wouldn't go too risky.
I I would like, but then it's
But
quite
maybe,
hard to because
but
there's loads
maybe
of
then
good
the
options.
captain, maybe the always captain Salah allows you to do that.
Yeah, maybe it does.
Maybe it does.
There's not that many rotation risks, though, is there? Really, like everyone says it, but Foden has played. You know, I think like Foden has been there. You're like, well, he's played the last 4 league games.
Yeah.
Like, is he really that much? Cancelo, always rotation risk. Like,
He
he's
hasn't
missed
missed a
one
game.
game.
He missed a game? Yeah.
Oh no, he didn't. He got 0 pointed, didn't he? So he didn't miss a game.
Yeah.
Hasn't missed a game.
Yeah.
You know, is
Jota.
good players are good players. Good players will play. They'll play more often than they don't because they're good players. And if they're scoring and returning, they'll play more than every other game, much more than that. So I don't think of players. I don't think I think of players anymore as nailed or rotation and those ones. I'm more thinking about how many minutes are they likely to play, and so I am more thinking about, am I likely to see a appearance off the bench for them? So that's my worry. Is more I don't like those players as much as I like those ones. So like Mahrez at the moment, my biggest worry is he comes off the bench, but he keeps scoring when he comes off the bench. But that's a worry when he's the first man off the bench. Firmino, Jota, they're a worry because they're the first man off the bench. Alonso's not a worry. Don't come off the bench. You know, Christensen's not a worry. Don't come off the bench. So it's like, yeah.
Well, this is normally the bit, mate, where we talk about captaincy for next week.
Havertz?
No,
I
no
can't do it again. Foden. There'll be some that do that this week.
Well, it's not going to come into my thoughts. I don't have him.
No.
Um,
and then he'll come off the bench and get 1 point. But yeah, I just think with all of it, like, we are managers, which means we make decisions, and therefore I've never stood by the thing where we've got the thing of effective ownership and is it good or bad. It's just part of the decision making process. You know, I know I am just a nerd for it, you know, like guessing what people's ownership will be and stuff, but I do genuinely do that because I think to myself, okay, if I'm in two minds on a player, then I probably will look at it. And my sort of mindset is, yeah, I'll probably go on the higher ownership one. That's mine. But there are other players who will do the opposite and think, well, this is a good opportunity. I like both of them. I've got both of them. I'll take the chance. And then you just have to hope for luck, really. You know, is because we can't do nothing once we've saved that team.
Yeah.
You know, as soon as that game says it's updating, that's it. We're done.
I just feel like you know, in times gone by, and you talk about fixtures and form and etc. There's an element of, you know, you get to a point with a player where you feel their form might drop, or if they haven't scored for a while, they might continue it. You feel like Salah is. I don't mean this in a 50-50 way, but he's like a coin flip in that each individual match is an isolated incident. The form behind him doesn't matter. In the sense that you know that, I mean, look, he could score 4 hat-tricks in a row. He's that good.
Yeah.
The probability says he won't, but if you take each...
Good.
He has as much chance of scoring a hat-trick on Saturday as he did last week, as far as I'm concerned.
The good for the game is if he blanks this week and he blanks next week, and then we get some fun as people with that, but you know he could do it again.
Well, we do, but then we get some fun because the mindset starts to change, perhaps. Nobody loses any rank.
I do think from, you know, one of the reasons as well that I would sign on the ownership, not only because it's just a safe way to play, but it is because of that mental health side of it. People talk about it, but I'm like, it would just really stress me out, and therefore I'm like, don't need it. You know, I'm just, you know, I'm not chasing that high and I'm not chasing that low for it. So I'm like,
do you want to be the man that takes a £10 treble on, or do you want to be the man with a £1 10 team accumulator? That's the kind of mentality.
I like that £1 accumulator. Thanks, you know, but it's just, yeah. Don't make the decision that you're not comfortable with. I just think for everybody in that. So if you're going to take it on, be prepared that it might not work out. And as long as you can take it on and be happy with your decision and go with it, be happy with it. And if it doesn't come off, It don't come up as long as it was a good decision, and it was a good decision. I come back. It was a good decision that Havertz won, because of the situation that it was in, as it was to play out, and no one would have predicted it to win as far away as it was. But you know, I said last week, because it's the end game on the Sunday, it just heightens everything, doesn't it? When it's the early Saturday, you've got that there. I mean, I was absolute textbook, said I was going to be smug wanker on Sunday afternoon, when I was then complaining about my red arrow Saturday afternoon, and then turned in with a green. That's, but that is a little bit of me saying, look, where's my mind going to be at? Where do I think I'm likely to be? Even that thing of, if you... Are you going to check live FPL or not? These are all things we should think about, where we want to be, to then not get ourselves in a position where we're really stressed out on a Sunday afternoon.
I mean, we spoke and said, we looked at the ownership straight after the deadline passed, and I went, oh shit, my green arrow needs to be absolutely huge, which I kind of knew, but I didn't expect Salah to be 170. And then Vardy to be 60, and I thought, Jesus Christ, I need a big green arrow. And you went, no, mate, you need a monster green arrow. And I literally looked at live FPL. I looked at FPL Game Week, and I had a red arrow after Saturday. I mean, it was always going to be tears from there. But
yeah,
anyway,
wouldn't have predicted to be quite that bad. No. But it is what it is. We move on. You're going to try and roll. I've got Vardy. Of course, I did, because everyone had him. So need to have a look at what needs to happen there. As it stands, I've got Townsend first on my bench and Watford and Armstrong second on my bench at the moment. So I'm not likely to take a hit if both Vardy and Rafinha are out. I'm still just going to transfer. I'm probably just going to transfer Armstrong to Tony, just get it done with.
Fair enough.
And that's me.
Cool, mate. Another one in the bank.
Another one in the bank, mate. You got through it. You got through a few of some hectic days.
Just 30 more to go.
All I've had is from messages from you saying, so many towels, so many sheets.
Yeah, that's my tears, not my kids sick. That is. Right, mate. As a final point, remember to follow us on Twitter, guys. At Above Average FPL, at Baker FPL 343, and leave a review, subscribe. Let us know what you think of the pod. It's just one game week, guys. Don't worry about it too much. Get on some spaces, have a chat, talk it out with people who are going through the same thing, basically.
And if anyone wants to do that, by all means, slide in the old DM, say, let's do a chat sometime. We'll jump in spaces. We love it.
Sounds good, mate.
See you later.
See you later, mate. Cheers.